Just a brief follow-up on yesterday's recording. I asked the question, why do we, as in my case, men, seem to attract negativity in women, a particular astrological sign, perhaps a birth date, and we find that these individuals, these women, have chaos in their life, disorganization, dad issues and whatever. We talked about that yesterday. If you didn't watch it, go back and watch yesterday's upload, which I think I'm going to upload today. I forgot to actually drop it on YouTube. But and so one thought, and again, if you caught my video on frequencies, vibrations, and what have you, you remember, I should say, and if you remember my video on resistance, where I gave the demonstration, an example of being in a boat, where sometimes it's necessary to work with the current and sometimes it's necessary to work against the current to provide you direction. And so if you would conflate all of those ideologies that I've shared with you, I believe that gives us the best answer in the way of relationships between men and women. You see, for every action, once again, there is an equal and opposite reaction. And so if your action is, to pursue after a relationship partner, there is going to be an equal and opposite reaction, which again acts as a type of resistance. Now, some people say that your mate, your partner, becomes a mirror to you, to to show you yourself where your shortfalls are, where you need improvement. I'll go along with that. I think that aligns pretty well with these ideologies. You're in this stream called life, and you're maneuvering life in your vessel, which I call the body, and there is a man or woman inside of that vessel, and that man or woman represents, at least in my belief, kind of the spirit or soul of the man, that has many different tools at its disposal to steer that boat. All right. And it's not always easy. I mean, the current is flowing. The current of life is just flowing. And without direction, without having those tools of the mind, the boat is simply pulled and compelled through life, and may take the occasion to hit up against rocks and the riverbank, and may end up sideways sometimes, basically a ship without direction, or a boat without direction. And so again, you put the oar in the water, and sometimes you need to provide drag in order to either slow down the boat's trajectory, or perhaps to angle the oar in such a way to turn right or left. But either way, the current is pulling. You have to decide, how much resistance to affect upon the water, the current, or when to, allow it to pull you in a general direction. And so these relationships are the same way. Why do we attract, negativity? Why do we attract the chaotic woman, the woman with daddy issues, etc., etc.? Well, you have to use your mind. And you could either use your mind and decide to go with the flow, with the current, with the draw, with the pull of the particular person you're in a relationship with, or you sometimes have to decide to provide a little drag and resistance, negative force, to slow the relationship down, or to angle the weapon of choice or the tool to provide a right turn or a left turn. All right. So in that, and in closing, perhaps it's not so much, I'll say, that you need to avoid the relationship, quite possibly, as much as it is that you need to employ your mind and not just be towed by the current relationship, the current relationship, as in the present relationship, right? So we all may find ourselves in a boat, which is our vessel, our body, and once you're in it, there's little you can do about the current of life. Those situations that pop up and you just find yourself there and you're like, man, why do I keep getting put in this position? Why am I perpetually stuck in these situations? I find myself being pulled. Well, you're here now, you're in the body, there's little to nothing you can do about it. So what we must learn to do is to use the weapons that we have, employ the mindfulness that we all have the capability to employ. And so again, and in closing, it's not so much as to whether or not you are subject to the current present life, as much as it is a question of your ability to maneuver therein. All right, so think about that. It's a lot more depth than 7 minutes and 50 seconds. But if you chew on that, as I'm going to do throughout the day, I think it will greatly affect you in your life and in your current situations. All right, with that being said, now you've been made free. The question is, what are you going to do with it? We'll talk to you next time right here. Peace.